Greetings, everyone. It's still Thursday, the 31st of July, 2025. I'm making yet another video today, follow up from the previous one. You might be quite shocked at the ranting and the words I had about mental illness in the United States of America. And I just wanted to follow up on that one. You know, when I mentioned about LGBTQ plus and transgender and gender confusion, etc., etc., I just wanted you to know about this scripture in Revelations 18, where it talks about the reason why that mental illness is so rife in that country. You know, it says here in Revelations 18, verse 2, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Now, that scripture there is describing what has happened in that country, that demonic possession and demonic influence has become quite rife in those situations where we saw Kevins and Karens fighting over nothing in the streets and in the shops, and the level of dangerous drugs being used in cities, making people practically like zombies, and of course the LGBTQ and the confusion over gender, etc., etc. All that's related to the scripture here. It says here, and he cried mightily. This he is the angel that has been in the story. I'll encourage you to read chapters 17 and 18. And it says here, as fallen. When it's repeated like that in the Bible, it means that it's a done deal. It's going to happen, and it's happened already, and is happening on increasing level. As fallen has become the habitation of devils. That's demonic influence. And the hold of every foul spirit, that's also reference to demonic, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, that is also to do with demonic. So I just wanted to give you that scripture. You might not believe me, because you need to know that, or accept the fact that Revelation 17 and 18 is actually talking about the United States of America and how it's falling. But I want to continue with the mainstream media. I've said quite a lot about it, and I just want to include or expand on it. You know, the mainstream media has basically got complete control over the majority of the population in generally the world. You know, I got two examples of something so quaint about this. You know, remember when Russia invaded the border of Ukraine, what Putin called the special military operation into the Ukraine? Lots of people jumped to getting into demonstrations and marches against Russia and in support of Ukraine, and it was basically the trend to put it on their social media status. You know, the photo of the Ukraine flag, the colors. But none of these people are aware of, you know, or have any knowledge of how Europe and the West reneged on agreements after the Second World War. Many of these people weren't aware of the agreements made in 2014, the so-called Minsk agreements. We call them Minsk I and Minsk II. they reneged on these agreements, and hence the reason why Russia conducted that special military operation. But the mainstream media convinced the majority of people that, it's a rogue state, and they turned the story around in favor of the West, which was wrong. In 2020, when COVID hit, many people used their social media status to express their support for taking that medical solution, and you'll see that it was like a loop around their heads and shoulders in their status. I've got my C19 vac. I got my C19 vac. So there's a tendency in the general population to rush to support popular trends, and many of these trends are actually supplied by the mainstream media, which is manipulated by powerful groups and lobbies outside that most people are not aware of. They are actually carrying out the mandate to determine the opinion of the general population. General journalism is where you take a story, but you take a story from both sides, and then you present it to the population, either the readership or visual media, where people have a chance to formulate their own opinion about the particular thing that's been expressed. But in today's world, we're getting quite a situation where the media actually is employed for propaganda and to formulate the opinions of people. It's no longer proper journalism. And those people, including myself, who asked questions and disagreed with what was the general trend, were actually mocked and laughed at, were called conspiracy theorists, and the other groups would rush to exclude us, to sanction us, and to actually force us to agree with them. And many of us, people like myself, would be threatened with losing their jobs, or excluded from gatherings and company because of the stance that we would take. And many times people were being threatened and stripped of their rights, their normal rights under the law. And again, I can say that we, those of us that asked questions and those of us who opposed the nonsense that was coming over to us, we were grouped, as a group, were vindicated. In my previous videos, I've explained how there's V accidents and repercussions from taking the V. And on the other point about Russia and the Ukraine, Russia has all but beaten the Ukraine into defeat. The president of the Ukraine, Zelensky, is now talking ceasefire and talking for talks, etc. But previously he was bolstered to oppose those things by the warmongers in the West. The European Union and the United States of America were proxy wars against Russia. And the European Union was gung-ho. There was the notion that Russia would sue for peace or ask for a ceasefire, and would basically be defeated militarily, and they would urge everybody for talks, for peace. And of course, then the European Union had this notion that along with the United States of America, they could share the spoils. They could go into Russia with their companies and enjoy the huge resources that the Russian territory has. That leader of the EU, von der Leyen, that lady, she was a warmonger. I would like to see those faces of those people now when, the writings in the wall that Russia cannot be defeated. You kind of wonder whether these people read a book on history, whether they knew about how Napoleon was defeated on the Russian soil, how Hitler tried through the Operation Barbarossa and could not achieve to vanquish that state. And it's interesting. It's a joke to see how people would comment. The commentators, especially from the USA, it was like a big joke that Russia was struggling against Ukraine militarily. When you realize that Putin clearly said that he's going to go into Ukraine on a special military operation, and his intention wasn't to declare war or to annex Ukraine. It was merely to protect the two territories in the Donbas that were being militarily attacked first by the Ukraine government. And all of this was happening as a result of the mainstream media. And the general population, everybody was convinced that Russia was the aggressor, that Russia wanted to become imperialist Russia again, and that Putin wanted to resurrect or recreate its former USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Now, the point I'm trying to stress here is that there are many lies floating around based on certain people, the elites, who own the mainstream media, and it's a sorry state of affairs where everybody believes the media. There's this, it's also almost a colloquial term, a cliche, to say that, oh, it's true because I saw it on TV. It's true because I saw it on TV. So there's still people like that, although it's a cliche today. There's still people, I would say many people, they believe it because it's on TV. They don't know about AI, they don't know about photoshopping, and they don't know about propaganda instruments that are coming through the media. So I just wanted to leave you with that to ponder about, because you that are viewing me may actually be a victim of this very same thing I'm describing. Have a great day further.